I updated my VS Code and all my custom settings broke, so why don't we fix it and make it beautiful again? I have a video up on my channel of how I set up my VS Code to look pretty good. It looks good and it's something that I really enjoy, but APC Customize UI++, the plugin that kind of everything hinges around, broke. And if you've updated VS Code and had something like my setup, you probably noticed this. It's not working with the latest VS Code update. And there's a bunch of different updates that VS Code did that basically made this having to be a complete rewrite if the original author wants to get this working again. And they don't really have the time. So if you do want to help out with that, be sure to follow along with this particular issue on the APC extension repo. I'll put that in the description below. But are there alternatives? Are there things that we can do in the meantime? A couple of people have said that they have downgraded to the original VS Code extension. I believe it's 1.93. Maybe that's the one that I'm thinking of. But so you could downgrade. I'll stay in 1.91.1. So there's a way to downgrade VS Code if you want to do that. But there's another extension. I came across this video by Glenn Rea, Transforming VS Code Beyond Themes. I'll put it in the video description as well, which utilizes a different extension. It utilizes the custom CSS and JS loader extension. So instead of putting all of this, so typically what I would have done in my video, I put everything in my settings.json. It's like this apc.stylesheet array or object, and then all of a sudden you just put all this CSS in JSON format. What the custom CSS and JS loader extension does is instead of putting all that in your custom user settings.json, you create your own custom VSCode.css as well as any JavaScript that you want, and you can do the same thing. This still works. It's just a different kind of process. And so I ported most of, just because everything's not working exactly the way it was because of VS Code's update, I ported most of my settings over to a custom VSCode.css file as well as a VS Code script to have a little bit more functionality. And again, mostly I just stole a lot of Glenn Rea's stuff. So be sure to watch this video, subscribe, and check out his information as well. Fantastic video. VS Code settings are a little bit different of a style than I normally go for, but I made it my own settings. And so I'll also show a gist of both of the custom CSS as well as the JavaScript that I enabled. Why don't we take a look at how it looks now? Let's open my VS Code, and everything looks relatively similar. There's things that I still haven't quite figured out, but this is the custom VSCode.css. And then I also have a little bit of JavaScript because I liked what Glenn was doing in his video to blur the background when pulling up a command palette. That's the custom VS Code script that basically, when the quick input widget is open, and then we're just blurring the rest of the screen based off of the custom CSS. So I quite like that addition. Again, check out Glenn's video as well as his whole GitHub repo. If you want that kind of style, I will leave the custom CSS as well as the custom JavaScript in the description as well. So the few things that I changed are there are now abilities to have a specific nicer looking and more on theme hovers, as well as a little bit of a nicer rounded border for the middle widget. All of that widget is basically just this right here. So it's blurring it when that opens. That's using the JavaScript. And then the quick input widget is this right here. It's basically saying we're just pushing it to the center of the screen, giving a little box shadow, some padding, a background color, radius, border, and Z index to make it stay on top. Now, some things I don't like about it is because you basically have to either translate it and put it in the middle. There's no way to pin it lower. I can't just have it like stay here, and no matter what the size of it, that's just not how it works. At least I haven't been able to figure that out. I'm not a CSS wizard, so maybe you can give me some tips if you know how to do that. I basically just want it pinned maybe a little bit higher, almost like how Raycast is. If I search and there's only one thing here, it's still going to be pinned up here. Anyways, I still love it being in the center of the screen. I love the blurring, and I now have a little bit of a border here, but the part that I don't like as much is I haven't been able to figure out the best way to do dual pane. It's only whichever you are selected. So dashboard, AA.php, settings.json. There's not much to show what you are in. And before I had a little icon that showed what it was, and I also had it for both panels. But because VS Code took away the ability to customize the title bar in the sense that you can't have it be native to the macOS screen anymore, it's a little bit trickier to figure out the best way to do that. Of course, I can still have this split screen, but it just doesn't look as clean as it did before. Nice part is I do this kind of shadow that is in when I'm scrolling to give it a little bit more separation. That was a technique that I learned from Glenn Rea's video. And yeah, I think everything is working decently. Now, I will say that if I was to open this up in Cursor, everything still works how I had set it up in my previous VS Code settings. So as of right now, Cursor is not updated to the latest VS Code. When that changes, everything breaks, I'll probably have to update Cursor as well. But that's what I'm using for the most part. I am also experimenting with Z as well, and maybe I can get that looking a little bit close to how I would like something like this. Be minimal, but a decent style for that. I do like the speed of Z. I will say that with the custom CSS loader and JavaScript, the initial load does feel a little bit slower than when I was using the APC Customize UI++. But if you have been in this specific scenario and you feel like you have started to just have your VS Code break because you updated and now APC Customize UI++, that extension you might have been using, like me, now just doesn't work, this might be a good option. Check out Glenn Rea's video. Check out my settings if you want something a little bit similar to this, but this is just loading your own CSS, your own JavaScript directly into VS Code. VS Code sometimes complains a little bit more because it doesn't want to be loading additional files, depending on where you put them. But hopefully this gives you a little bit of a inspiration on where to go next. Keep building, keep creating.